everybody, and welcome back to YouSeeKaylaTV. Or if it's your first time, welcome to YouSeeKaylaTV. Today I'm reviewing the episode from last night of All-American Homecoming. If it's your first time here, please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share if you like the content. All right, so episode 3 was entitled Love and War. So if you see me looking over and you're new here, I'm looking at my notes. I'm going to start with the synopsis. So when Damon and JR devise a plan to help boost the baseball team's morale, they realize they have to... I'm sorry. I can't read today. What is wrong with me? They realize they have their work cut out for them when an unforeseen obstacle threatens to derail their efforts. And Simone tries to extend an olive branch to Thea. All right, guys. So if you've never watched an All-American Homecoming review for me, for All-American, I do a football theme of my outline of the episode. And for All-American Homecoming, I do like an HBCU party tailgate theme or whatever like that. So the pregame is just the topics that kicked off the episode, and then we'll go from there. So Simone bonds with her new teammates, except Thea, as they celebrate her making the tennis team. Not that she wouldn't have bonded with Thea. Thea chose not to be a part of the celebration, and congratulate her as they gave her her new rackets and uniform. Then on the flip side, we have JR and Damon. They're trying to come up with a plan to boost the team's morale, just like the synopsis told us. In particular, Damon wants to find a sponsorship and maybe some endorsements for some of him and his teammates. But Coach Turner was not feeling it because he felt like that all the attention would be on Damon, and he was not wrong, but we'll get into that. And Coach Turner is just like, hey, the focus has to stay on the entire team, and I don't think this is the way to do it. All right, guys, so let's get a little bit more into the episode. We have our tailgate topic, so this is what's going on during the game. All right, Damon's mother, her name is Keena Sims. She shows up with a rich sponsor. I couldn't remember his name. And Damon is unsettled with his mother's sudden support. And the reason why he's unsettled is because Damon's mom didn't even want him to go to Brixton. So he's very uncertain about why all of a sudden is she on board. And he was not wrong for that, but we'll talk about that some more. And then Keena Sims reveals to Coach Turner, because Coach Turner was like, what are you doing here? Basically, we don't want this. And she was like, well, President Allen okayed it, her sponsorship efforts. And she also promised to Damon, like, hey, this is for the whole team. So Damon kind of got on board to Coach Turner's, dislike. All right. Meanwhile, in Simone's world, she's trying to throw Thea a birthday party because she found out while she was in Keisha, who was her friend in the RA. No, she wasn't in Keisha's room. She was in Nate's room. Nate is kind of like her roommate because she's been letting Simone stay in her room. And Nate, yes, he has a man's name, but we found out last night that his preferable pronouns are she. So she's been letting Simone stay in her room. And Keisha is the RA, but they're all friends. So they were kicking it, and that's how Thea's birthday came up, because Keisha was making her a bag and making a joke like, should I not even give it to her? And Simone's like, no, give it to her. I want to figure out a way to make this work between she and I so that tennis, isn't so terrible for me. So then we also have a new character that we met last night. I don't know if she's going to be a recurring character or not, but her name is Walinda. She decides to come and file a complaint against Nate for letting Simone stay in her room. And she also refers to Nate as a him. It was kind of obvious as the episode went on that her biggest issue with Nate was not that Simone was staying in her room. It was that, the whole gender bender, and that she doesn't feel like she feels like she is a actual he and should not be getting special privileges, and she does not honor the fact that Nate is a part of the girls' living arrangements, and that she also gets her own room. So that's Linda's personal problem, and instead of being woman enough to talk to Nate about that, she made it seem like it was something else and is trying to cause extra problems for her. So we'll see how that unravels. Simone is upset with the misuse of the gender pronouns and tries to make Nate make a bigger deal of it. She gets upset with Simone and reads Simone for filth for not listening to people when they're telling her what she doesn't want, because by this point they had also thrown Thea this birthday party that Thea didn't even really want, and nobody showed up, and Thea's face was cracked. All right, so rival teams, and these are just the antagonists of the episode. Definitely Keena Sims, Damon's mom, because she lied to Damon about trying to help the whole team. And President Allen actually reveals her true motives to Damon right before the little press conference thing that they were having for the sponsors, because she never told him, and she wasn't going to tell him. And then obviously when Linda was the antagonist for us last night, showing up at Nate's room and in the lounge trying to shut Simone's party down and just trying to make drama for them for no reason. But you gotta have an antagonist on the show, right? All right, so now we're at the halftime show. And when I say the halftime show, I'm just talking about the biggest parts of the episode. So we find out that Amara, Dr. Patterson, Simone's aunt, she gets an offer to work with the Atlanta Daily News as a full-time journalist. She got that hookup from Ralph Wells, who spoke at her class earlier in the episode and was one of her former students. And was going to hook her up with a job because, you know, she's been having a lot of friction with the administration ever since she did the story on the baseball team, and she feels like she's about to lose her job, so she's trying to keep her options open. So she's contemplating leaving Bringston, and Coach Turner was like, no, I think you should stay. Simone walks up on their conversation, and she kind of felt the vibes and the chemistry that we all feel between Coach Turner and Amara, and she wouldn't let it go like Simone normally does. And her aunt does reveal to her that yes, they used to date back in the day in college, but they broke up due to some very personal reasons. All right. So also going on in Damon's world, he's disappointed that his mother lied to him, you know, once he found out from President Allen. But he still manages to let Coach Turner know what happens and decides to give a motivational address at the sponsorship conference about how these guys are trying to create a legacy. And he also allows the team to share in the spotlight, and they also spoke. They did a wonderful job of representing the school in the baseball program. And in turn, they inspired Coach Turner to go ahead and find some local sponsorships for some of the players, from some local sponsors there in Atlanta. So no, it didn't work out necessarily with what Damon's mom was trying to hook up, but that's probably was for the best anyway, because her intentions weren't right. But they did inspire Coach Turner to make a couple changes, because we all know Coach Turner doesn't like change. But he even told them, you know, sometimes change is good. So that was cool. All right, so now we're at the post-game turn-up. So this is just like the bombs dropped at the end of the episodes. Coach Turner found out from President Allen earlier in the episode that all the professors' tenure were on hold, not just Amara's, because that's why she was looking into this Atlanta Daily News job. But he didn't find out why. So when they had family dinner that night, he went over and told the news to Amara. So she called Ralph and was like, hey, you know, I'm going to decline that offer with the Atlanta Daily News, and I might have a story for you because I'm going to stay here at Bringston. So we know that that's not going to be the end of that story. Also at family dinner, JR, he was looking at that picture all episode of the baby that he thinks is Damon. And he tells Simone that he thinks Damon is his brother. And Simone wonders if her aunt and Coach Turner are Damon's birth parents, since her aunt told her that something very personal broke them up back in the day, but yet they still seem like they like each other. I'm going to get into that. I'm going to jump into my opinion, and we're going to save that nugget for last. All right. So in my opinion, this episode was amazing. I'm really enjoying this spinoff, because y'all know sometimes a spinoff don't give what it's supposed to give. It's not as good as the original show, but I'm really enjoying All American Homecoming. I'm glad to see Thea soften her stance. And you see, she wasn't on my antagonist list this week. For those of you who had watched my previous reviews, Thea got off my antagonist list. And I'm glad to see, Thea has to understand you have to be a friend to have friends. So maybe that's why nobody showed up to your birthday party. But maybe you can start a new leaf with Simone and her friends. It's also nice to see the budding friendship between Simone and Damon. Now, I know some people are like team, what is it, Jamone or? Yeah, it's Jamone, Simone, and Jordan. But, I mean, okay, I'm going to give my opinion. Y'all hear me out before you turn it. All right, so I just knew the long distance thing wasn't going to last between Jordan and Simone. And the reason why I say that is because they bonded a lot over Simone's pregnancy and the traumatic things that Jordan had going on in his life with his family. Because remember, Billy and Laura were going to get a divorce at one point. GW, as he calls him, Grandpa Willie, their relationship was a hot mess. Like, they had a lot going on in the Baker family. And Simone got pregnant around that time. And they were like each other's support and trauma bonds, actually. And I do love Simone now, but let's not forget, she knew she was pregnant by somebody else, tried depending on Jordan because she knew he was a nice boy. Laura wasn't feeling it. And yeah, she apologized for it later, but it still happened. And she was rebelling against her parents. Jordan was rebelling against his parents. And now that that's behind them, it seems like as they're growing and healing and both becoming more functional, they're not really worried about each other like that. Like, if you watched All American last night, Jordan said, I love Simone, but I got to do what I got to do. And that's obviously been Simone's attitude as well. So it's just like, they don't have the need for each other. And I don't think they realize that yet, that they used to have for each other, because they're healing and they're becoming the people that they should be. And that's not a bad thing. Maybe they were the friends that each other needed. Not maybe, they were the friends that the other needed during those tough times in their life. But I don't know if that's enough to be the foundation of their relationship, especially coast to coast long distance. So we'll see. I mean, if they don't come back around to each other, because I don't know any inside information, y'all, but a blind man can see they're going to break up. Like, this is obviously heading that way. That's my opinion. I could be wrong, but if they don't come back around, they'll always be each other's high school sweethearts and each other's first annulled marriage, ex-spouse, whatever. They'll always have those memories, and maybe they will come back around. We'll see. But when you look at Damon and Simone, they're building off of something solid, like really being friends first, but the chemistry is there. So we'll see. Anyways, I also wonder what's going on with the school's funding. And from experience, I can say this is a really real issue that a lot of HBCUs face, trying to get funding and having financial limitations and budget issues. It's a big obstacle for HBCUs, because sometimes they're privately funded. They don't have a lot of the federal funding that public schools and PWIs get. So I think this is a very realistic portrayal, and I definitely want to know what's going on with that. And then we're probably going to see some more Amara versus President Allen, even though he's not directly our enemy. Like she said, you can't be the good cop and the bad cop. So we'll see what's going on with this. And Coach Turner got a little spicy with President Allen as well, because, you know, Amara is his boo on the low. So we'll see what happens with that. And then lastly, let's get into this brother thing. Y'all, I am confusion. I'm very confused. Okay, so let's run this back. JR said to Simone, when he was a toddler, and I wrote this down so I can remember what he said. He said when he was a toddler, he remembers his parents having a baby, and then all of a sudden the baby was just gone. And he said the picture was inside the Bible, and he knows with a note that both of Damon's birth parents went to Brinkston. But Coach Turner and Amara are not his parents. Coach Turner and Amara are not JR's parents. So why would they have Damon? Why would they adopt Damon and then unadopt him to Damon's mom? Like, something is very weird here. And then is he also saying he's adopted? Because he was like, yes. So when Simone said, yeah, his birth parents went to Brinkston, and he said, so did mine. Now that could mean, yes, both of my parents went to Brinkston, or yes, my birth parents went to Brinkston. So I'm confused, but whether he's adopted or whether he's not adopted, we know that Coach Turner and Amara are not JR's parents. So why would JR's parents, whether they're his birth parents or biological parents or whatever, why would they have adopted Damon and unadopted Damon? I don't understand. And Damon's mom is not his mom. So it's like, that is the story. The way they're setting the story up doesn't make sense to me. Is it just me? Y'all let me know in the comments now, because I could be tripping, but that just went here. I might be overthinking it, but to me, the math is not mathing. So like, I need some help with that. But Y'all let me know what you think. I'm gonna just let this unravel because I about gave myself a headache last night trying to make 1 + 2 = 4. I was like, what is going on? I'm dead serious too. So anyway, I'm gonna leave it alone. Y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments about this brother situation. I'm not saying they're not brothers, but the way they're trying to match the story up of him remembering and why he thinks and stuff, and if both of them adopted and who the real, I can't make it connect. It's too much for me. And it's not because I don't understand blended families. I'm a product of a blended family, and it's not that. It's just the math is not mathing. So anyway, y'all let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if you like the video, if you want me to keep doing All American. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. I really appreciate you spending your time with me here today at YouSeeKaylaTV. I didn't want this one to be a long one, but I actually had a bit to get into because the show was new. So as it's developing, like, we're getting more meat into these episodes. So my videos might be a little bit longer, but I'm still going to do my best not to hold you too long. So thank you guys so much. I hope you have a wonderful Tuesday and the rest of the week, and I'll be back with you next week for episode 4 of All American. Have a good one.